Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. The current session focuses on sociolinguistics and oral literature in Pakistan. I hope and expect by the end of this session you would have an understanding of oral literature that is produced in different languages of Pakistan, and you would also understand its significance in the Pakistani sociolinguistic context. Well, my dear students, when it comes to different forms of oral literature in Pakistan, there are a lot of varieties of oral literature that are produced. For example, folklore, tappa, lori, kissa, geet, etc. Folklore in Pakistan is a very significant part of, the oral tradition that is carried through. All the folk literature, all the oral literature that is produced in Pakistan, that is produced in these different forms that I have talked about, most of it is produced in the regional varieties of Pakistani languages or the provincial languages. I would just give you a few examples of how does it operate in different regions or in different dialects of Pakistan. For example, when we talk of the region of Sindh, it abounds with folklore. There are various manifestations of various kinds of stories, of characters and of lovers and of, different people, relating themselves to, different sociocultural settings. For example, if at the screen you look, Watayo Fakir tales are one of the important part of the Sindhi folklore. In the same way, the legend of Morero is, one of the significant legends. Epic tale of Dodo Chanessa is, again, something that is very famous in the oral tradition of Sindh. The love stories of Sassipanu that is known and sung in every Sindhi settlement is a very, very significant part of the oral tradition. And, poems and, rhymes and, narratives constructed around this, they are narrated and they are sung, in this area. In the same way, Umar Maroi and Sohni Meher's stories are also a part of this folklore tradition. And all of these that I have pointed out, the stories and the tales and the oral narratives and the songs that are orally sung, they are the celebrations, in fact, of the culture of this area. There are celebration of the norms, values and beliefs of these people, which becomes, very, very significant from the sociolinguistic point of view, because when we look at the language of all of these, they provide us insights into how people behave linguistically as well as socially. If we move on to the Balochi folklore, stories of Hani and Shah Murad Chakka are a very, very significant folklore, part that is sung and that is celebrated in this area. In the same way, Shahdad and Mahnaz's story, Lala and Gran's story, Mast and Samo's story, and along with that, one of the prominent folklore traditions of the Balochi context is singing the war tales, the war songs, because they make a very significant part of the culture of the area. So, they are equally stirring and equally motivating and equally, emotionally, triggering when you listen to these stories. They reflect the whole culture of love and war, both in this area. When it comes to the Pakhtun folklore, again, the sociolinguistic tradition, the oral tradition of, singing and, then, from one generation to the other, sharing these stories is a very, very important part. The peculiar, part of this region is that apart from the linguistic aspects of it, there are, certain other traditions that are associated with, these songs. So, Khatak dance, for example, is one of the ways how actually the linguistic part is exhibited through the body movements and gestures, etc. With reference to the Pashtun folklore, the romantic tale of Adam Khan and Durkhanai features the lute player, that is rubab, that is known as rubab locally, that was used to earn the love of the beloved. So again, certain characteristics of the human beings of the area and certain characteristics of the culture of the area, they are embedded linguistically in these stories in such a way that just by listening to the singing of these stories and these tales and these poems, we can understand a lot about the culture as well as the linguistic values of the people. As far as Punjab is concerned, it is also rich in this oral tradition. He Ranjha, for example, from Jang is one of the stories that is sung very frequently and that is very well known in the sociolinguistic context of Punjab. It has been, reappropriated to suit the, needs of different kind of media, and today it is celebrated in songs, in movies, and even on theatre. Apart from these major regional languages, there are many other languages. For example, there is Saraiki that has a certain, aspect of the, paralinguistic features of sweetness of tone and voice, etc., that are attached to Saraiki. And there is a very rich folk literature in that. In the same way, Kashmiri folklore is abundant with the examples of sacrifices and, struggle for independence and, the celebrations of this struggle as well. An important part of this oral tradition that I would like to share that reflects, the whole culture of the society, especially in Punjab, and that reflects not only the whole lifestyle of the people of Punjab, but also provides some insights into the wedding, ceremonies and, the traditions and norms related to them is Tappay. Again, Tappa is an oral tradition that has a very typical kind of a linguistic structure that is sung. They are all sung by women. By the way, if you look at the screen, you can notice there is a typo here. So, I'm correcting it. So they are sung by women. They are sung on weddings, and actually they provide insights into the sociolinguistic aspects of life, particularly in Punjab. And they are, used to linguistically, they are created in such a way, they are used to tease, the bride and the groom's families and, the relatives. And in doing all that, the sociocultural norms are embedded in the language. The basic function that they serve is to celebrate and to tease and to, to sing out, I would say, the values of the society as well. So, these Tappay, they are a representation because they are an oral tradition that come from one generation to the other. Though in today's times we find some written records of them that are later on produced for convenience of people. However, genuinely, originally, they are created as an oral tradition and they have passed from one generation to the other. So they are representatives of the folk wisdom, of cultural values, of the traditional revelries of different tribes and clans and groups of people, and of the families of the bride and the groom as well. There are certain types of gender roles that are associated with, the singing of the characteristics of these of the males and females in these tappas. So, men and women are presented in stereotypical roles in these tappas. Women typically related to household and men typically related to the outer side world. The concepts of bravery, of the responsibility of earning, etc. For example, they are in ironic and humorous and teasingly, using language in certain ways. They are conveyed, by the bride's family to the groom's family. On the other hand, the groom's family would sing the tappas that would again, stereotype the gender role of female through the linguistic constructions that would be chosen, that would be, making fun of or teasing, for example, the lack of, a skillfulness of the, for example, bride, for example, in household chores like cooking, stitching, etc., or, teasing her or admiring her beauty, etc. So, overall, though they are mainly gender stereotypes based, they represent the traditions and the cultures of the tribes or of the ethnic groups or of the region, especially in terms of Punjab. Another significant, folklore tradition or oral literature tradition in Pakistan is of Lohri, which is a celebration of motherhood. This is very interesting, if we think of this female gender sensibility when it is attached to the idea of Lohri. In fact, mothers would sing these lullabies to the children as they would put them to sleep. And it is very interesting that certain characters are presented in stereotypical roles and the maternal characters are presented differently. For example, the paternal characters in these Lohris. Now, I would give one example. For example, you would have heard, certain females in your surroundings, your aunties and your mothers, for example, singing Lohris like Chanda Mama Dur Ke. So, the references to the maternal uncle, to Mama or to Mamu, is a very significant part. So all the relatives from the maternal side it is very interesting that they are mentioned in these linguistic, exhibitions of the celebrations of these relationships. Why? Because generally they are created and they are sung by females in the society. So for a female who is married into another family and who is away from her own family, who is away from her own brothers and sisters and parents, while putting the child to sleep, while she would be singing all this, this would be a linguistic expression of all those feelings and emotions that she has for her family and that she wants to celebrate.